For our second example, we've got a slightly more difficult problem. Here we've got the square root of 50 plus the square root of 63 minus the square root of 28. And just like before, we're going to look at each individual surd, simplify it down as far as possible, and then gather like terms together. So let's look at our first one, square root of 50, and we'll take 50 and think about what we can split it up into. And the one that stands out to me, obviously, is that 50 is 25 times 2. And the reason that stands out to me is that 25 is another one of my square numbers, which is on the other page. 25 is 5 times 5. So I can rewrite square root of 50 as the square root of 25 times 2. That's equal to the square root of 25 times the square root of 2. And square root of 25 is 5, so this is 5 root 2. We still need to come back and deal with these other surds though. Let's look at 63. Now when I see the number 63, I know that 63 is a multiple of 9. That means 9 is one of the possibilities. And that's interesting to me because 9, again, is a square number. And the way that I know that 9 is a factor of 63 is I look at the digits and go 6 plus 3 is 9. And that's actually a little trick. If you take any number that's a multiple of 9, so in this case we've got 63, and you add its digits together, you'll get 9. Similarly, if we took something like 18, which is again another multiple of 9, it's 9 times 2, 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. Even if you take something like this, 99, which is 9 times 11, 9 plus 9, okay, that's not 9, that's 18, but we've seen up here that if you take 1 plus 8, the digits of 18, you do get 9. So it's just a handy little trick to know about your 9 times tables, and it only works with 9s. So 6 plus 3 is 9, so I know that 9 is a multiple of 63, or sorry, a factor of 63. And in fact, 9 times 7 gives me 63. So I'm going to rewrite square root of 63 as the square root of 9 times 7. This is like the square root of 9 times the square root of 7. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 7 can't be simplified, so root 7. And we've now got to deal with the last part. I'll do this one pretty quickly. 28. Thinking of numbers that multiply to give 28. 28 I can see can be divided by 2 twice, because if I divide it once I get 14. If I divide it again I'm going to get 7. So that means I can divide by 4, because I could divide by 2 twice. So 4 times what gives me 28? The answer is actually going to be 7. And 4 is a nice number because it's a square number, which is of particular interest to us with surds. So the square root of 28 can be broken into the square root of 4 times 7. I can break that into the square root of 4 times the square root of 7. Square root of 4 is 2. Root 7 can't be simplified anymore. And now I'm ready to simplify. Now if we have a look at our 3 terms here, we've got 2 of them that are the same. We've got root 7s, and we've got one of them that's different. And just like our algebra, we can only add and subtract like terms. We can't do anything with other terms. So right away I can see there's only one thing with a square root of 2 in it. It's going to have to sit there on its own. It's not going to be able to be added or subtracted from the other ones. But if I have a look at these ones, I've got 3 root 7, take away 2 root 7, so I can just think about that as 3 take away 2. 3 take away 2 is 1. So 1 root 7. And we know in algebra, if something's got a 1 in front of it, we can actually just leave it out. So I can rub that out there. And I've got the result to this expression here, simplified as far as it can go, is 5 root 2 plus the square root of 7. And we can't go any further than that. Throughout all of these problems, you've probably noticed that I've started to leave out some steps. Okay, so I left the step out here where I would have had a multiplication in between those two. And that's okay. As you get better at your maths, you tend to leave steps out. So in fact, when you get good at these, you might want to leave this step out, for example. And then eventually, when you can do this in your head, you might want to leave that out and go straight from this step all the way down to there. And that'd be okay. But you don't lose marks for showing extra working. And it might seem like, oh, it's too much work to write all the working down. But these steps, the point of these steps is that they help us in our thinking. They help to take things out of our brain and put them onto paper so that we're less likely to make mistakes. So it's okay to start leaving steps out as long as you leave enough steps to make it clear what you're doing. Like I wouldn't take out any more than these 2 steps. This one definitely needs to be in there so that whoever's marking this can see what you're doing. But once we get good enough in our heads, we can start to leave steps out. But don't rush that process. Don't be afraid to put a couple of extra lines of working down if that's going to help you to get the right answer. Getting the right answer is more important than being able to do this without a whole lot of working.